Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Hopefully, everybody is doing well, and I'm gonna give everybody just a few minutes to come into the room and give the notification a few minutes to go out. If you're in the room, make sure you let me know that you're here. Hey, Helena. Hey, hot retarded chick. Hey, y'all. Hopefully everybody is making it. Okay, there we go. Because my thing was like saying 0 people, and I'm like, people are literally talking to me. How's it 0 people? But okay, I see people coming into the room now. Hey, BBS. But happy Tuesday, y'all. Another Tuesday in a quarantine. Hey, Marco. So hopefully y'all are keeping, holding on to your sanity. Hey, Raymond. I'm seeing a lot more people actually outside and getting active. More so than usual. I see a lot of people running in their neighborhoods, running, jogging downtown and things like this. So I don't know. Maybe it's the allure of, being told what to do. And it's like, now everybody wants to be finding stuff to do outside now. Hey, Edward. But yeah, y'all. So we are just deep into this coronavirus stuff. Hey, BBD. Hey, Black Introvert. Hey, HK. Hey, Ozzy. So we're going to talk about a couple of different things tonight, you guys. We're going to talk about this antibody testing that they did. We're going to talk about we got to talk about the hot mic situation at the White House. I don't know if y'all seen it or not. Hey, Nico. Ryman said he's expecting his stimulus in the AM. I thought they've already went out, unless you're getting it by mail or whatever. But yeah, we're gonna talk about the whole YouTube censorship and some other things that have been going on as well. So I see that Georgia is getting ready to open soon. It sounds weird saying it, but Georgia is getting ready to basically open the state back up, to my understanding. I think on April 30th. I think some other states may have kind of been tossing the idea around as well. I'm not exactly sure, but I know everybody has been talking about Georgia. So if you know of any other states, let me know in the comments. But I know everybody has been talking about Georgia. People are either super happy or kind of freaking out about the reopening. So I think I said April 30th. And so we're going to see what happens. They kept telling us we're going to look at the models. We're waiting to hit the curve. Now the numbers are going down. Just last week, Governor Cuomo was saying how he was wanting to start this coalition with other states to figure out a way to go ahead and reopen New York, which is the epicenter of corona. This is what's happening in real time beyond the fear mongering. These are what the actual governors are saying beyond the fear mongering that the media is doing, or what position that they're even taking on it. So I don't know if a lot of people are going to be out. I think right now people are honestly kind of spooked. I think a lot of people are spooked. So I don't presume that the response is going to be as big as we're thinking, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I know the media can't wait to eat up the response. Now, if you think Georgia reopening on April 30th is too soon, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat. If you think it's good timing, I want you to drop a 2. I just kind of want to see y'all thoughts on it. A lot of people are saying 2. I got 1. Somebody said, can't wait. I'm from Atlanta. Darrell. Hey, Darrell. Darrell said 1. So Ozzy said this pandemic is a eugenics agenda. No history and know the truth. So this is the thing. I'm a little I'm a little on the fence in this way. I feel like we have not been given a full, truthful scope of the information. I feel like we're getting conflicting information, and a lot of that may be, undoubtedly the fear mongering. And I definitely think we should put plans into reopening. I don't know what that looks like for Georgia. I have not looked that far into it. So I really don't know exactly what that looks like. But I don't think you can just keep rolling the ball forever. I was talking to some friends today, and they were like, oh, no, it's too soon. It's too soon. No, it's just way too soon. I'm like, when do you think would be an appropriate time? Are you going to wait 18 months till the vaccine comes out? Oh, no, I'm not going to wait 18 months. Okay, so what's your idea? What is an appropriate time? What would that look like to you? And I'll hear people say June, maybe July. What will be the difference now between June and July? Deaths, if we're just looking at numbers, okay, the deaths are already going down. It's funny that now that the deaths are going down, I don't hear as many people talking about the curve anymore. Have y'all noticed that, or am I tripping? The curve was such a huge thing. Like, you literally could not get away from that word. But now that the deaths are actually going down, which in my mind, I always thought that's what the curve was. It was like, okay, so many people have already gotten the virus. So many people have already went through the medical system, the hospital system, and now we can start slowly letting people go out. So what is the thing? And then you're telling us it's most likely going to be cyclical anyway. So if you can get it in the future, if you can get it twice, if there's going to be a second wave, what are you just going to keep everybody in the house until the second, third, fourth wave? So I don't know. I just think, yes, absolutely. At some point we have to open up. I'm still a little bit on the fence about some stuff. And like I've been telling y'all, I've been trying to get somebody on here who has actually tested positive, right? Because a lot of us, or y'all, not particularly me, but I know a lot of people that have suspected that they had the symptoms, possibly coronavirus, in earlier months. My sister, she's a school teacher. She said back in like early, I think January, like she said her whole class, practically everybody in her class, I feel bad for really not knowing. She's like a first grade teacher, somewhere between first and third grade. But anyway, and literally she was like, her whole class, it was just this really nasty bug that went around the school, and the students were just out for days, weeks at a time. So But we'll see what happens. Some people think it's too soon. Some people probably think it's not soon enough. But anyway, so Darrell said, I'm certain I had it in January. Most of my coworkers too. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that. And that's the thing. I was going to do a video where you can go back and look. It's crazy because you can actually go back and look at news reports from December, y'all. I might still do this video. I might as well. I should. But there were news reports going around back in December, back in January, saying that this was the highest, before everybody was talking about coronavirus and COVID-19. There were news reports where they were interviewing people, going to clinics, saying that there was this increase in flu and how people were just having these really crazy symptoms, and they were just seeing flu at rates that they hadn't seen. And this just happens to be the year just a couple months later, you know, we find out our coronavirus enters the U.S. borders. I mean, come on. So, hey, Lavon. Okay, thank you, Helena. But we'll see what happens. Helena said first case was sent to the CCP November 1st. They knew. So that just goes to show, right? That just goes to show that if we were already just walking around, moseying along with this virus just everywhere and going on oblivious to it, but now the media sees this as an opportunity to make everybody practically go haywire and, you know, instill these measures that are, I think a lot of them are drastic. When you literally have companies, corporations that can practice social distancing, but some type of way we don't believe that small businesses are competent enough to do the same. It just does not make sense to me when you have also the people literally coming on TV, giving us the social distancing measures, telling us, do this, don't do this, don't have on a mask, don't have on gloves, aren't social distancing, are shaking hands. I mean, let's just admit that something does not make sense here. And why are people so offended? Thank you, the writer. Thank you so much. Why are people so offended when she's in a cute little sticker? You can't see it on the screen, but you can see it in the chat box. It says, thanks for being you. Thank you. People will get more offended at me, right? They're bothered by me for saying this does not make sense. What we're seeing does not make sense. You're not going to tell me every single time I go into Walmart, every time I go into a restaurant, they're cooking my food without masks. The girl on the cash register that has 1,000 other people coming through there does not have on a mask, does not have on gloves. They're not making you social distance throughout the stores. You only have to social distance when you get to the cash registers. And you're telling me that small businesses can't implement these same things? Do the same people that y'all will call any other time evil, the bad corporations, the capitalists, they don't even care about their workers. Now, all of a sudden, we find them to be more competent and more caring than your local business? Is that what we're saying? Is that the message that we're sending? And don't even get me started into the whole wealth transfer thing. How can you talk about the evils of capitalism and then turn around and support stuff that just does not, it just doesn't make sense? So don't be mad at me for saying it. Be mad at your freaking leaders that don't even think enough of you to wear gloves and put on masks and not shake people's hands at the podium and not social distance and stand 6 feet apart. That is not an equivalence to me saying the virus is a hoax. It is not. It is me saying a lot of this doesn't make sense. And I know that some of you guys are only able to think in binaries, right? Because I can only think that this is a hoax or, oh my God, we're all just going to fall out and die. There's no nuance. I know some of you have been walked into thinking that way because of the mainstream media, and it's always this against that. But no, there is nuance. I personally believe that we can find ways to protect the most vulnerable while making sure that we aren't. Well, it's already done now. Y'all got y'all checks in the mail. But I believe we could have done this in a way that could have protected the most vulnerable while also making sense, while also not impacting the freaking very livelihood of so many people that put their blood, sweat, and tears into their businesses to give back to their communities because they care about their communities and they want to have a hand in the economics of their communities, and now they're not even able to survive. But yeah, let's let Jeff Bezos and Walmart keep going or whatever. But I mean, hey, so don't be mad at me. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at this article. Okay, there was an antibody test recently done, and I wanted to talk about this. So if y'all saw a couple of days ago, I uploaded a video from CNN, where I can't even think of the guy's name right now, but where the news host, to my surprise, was very objective. Extremely objective, fair, gave numbers. I felt like he gave both the pros and cons of some of the things we're seeing right now. When I see stuff like that coming from mainstream media, it blows my socks off. I'm going to share it with you guys. So I think that was a very fair assessment of the numbers, what we've seen. So I did share that. If you've not seen that, make sure you go back and watch that. Okay, I think I posted it maybe like 2-3 days ago. So along with those numbers, right, there is more information coming out, and honestly, I really don't even think we're gonna know the truth of a lot of this for probably, honestly, years to come. Really, okay. Getting down to the bottom of this, but I want to talk about this. This is on CNBC. Coronavirus antibody testing shows LA County outbreak is up to 55 times bigger than reported cases. The COVID-19 outbreak in Los Angeles County is likely far more widespread than previously thought. Okay? Than previously thought. Because some people continue to be in this fear-mongering state, and they don't want to let go of old information. So as we are learning about this virus, including me, we should revise how we approach things. That just makes logical sense. Some people don't want to do that. They want to be stuck on the, oh my God, people are passing out in the streets narrative, which is the first narrative we got. However, as time goes on, we are learning more. We are getting new numbers, okay? Up to an estimated 55 times bigger than the number of confirmed cases, according to new research from the University of Southern California and the LA Department of Public Health. USC and the Health Department released preliminary study results that found that an estimated 4.1% of the country's adult population has antibodies to the coronavirus, estimating that between 221,000 adults to 442,000 adults in the county have had the infection. Okay. So this very much so aligns with two things. One, okay, the theory that most of us believe that the virus was already here. And also number two, this goes a lot along with the video that I just talked about that I posted from CNN the other day, how the death rates and the fatality rates are lower than previously thought. Okay, that's very important. This new estimate is 28 to 55 times higher than the 7,994 confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported to the county through early April. The number of coronavirus-related deaths in the county has now surpassed 600, according to the Department of Public Health. The data, if correct, would mean that the county's fatality rate is lower than originally thought. The results are based on antibody testing of about 863 people who were representative of LA County. So this is somebody in LA. Though the results indicate a lower risk of death among those with infection than was previously thought, the number of COVID-related deaths each day continues to mount, highlighting the need for continued vigorous prevention and control efforts. So I don't know if I'm saying this right, but when I read that and when they say that the deaths each day continue to mount, are you saying that more people are dying? So you're adding to, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 40, is it 40,000? I can't think of the number off the top of my head. But are you adding to that number, or are you saying deaths are mounting, like more people are dying every day? They can't be saying that because the deaths are actually going down, okay? With just 4% of the population infected with the disease, LA County is still very early in the epidemic. Many more people in LA County could potentially be infected, and those numbers of infections rise. So will the numbers of deaths, the numbers of hospitalizations, and the number of ICU admissions. So Saad said the chance someone tested positive for the antibodies but didn't actually have COVID-19 was low. Okay, so this just goes on to talk about this. I'm going to link this article below if y'all want to go and finish reading this. But to make a long story short, the initial presumption of why we needed to shut down everything, why we needed to have such strenuous measures, is because this was way more deadly than the flu, right? Than the seasonal flu. However, with new numbers, we are coming to find that that may not be the case at all, okay? 600 deaths, and I hope my math is right because I don't want to be blasted on the internet, but 600 deaths out of 221,000 people. This is on the lower end, right? Is 0.27. 0.27%, not 2%. 0.27%. All right. Say we go with the higher end, more people may have had it, already been infected by the virus. 442,000 people, 0.13%. So by this point, every single study coming out over the last couple of weeks, the death rate has been at 1% or now even possibly lower. They're thinking it's possibly a 10th of what they originally thought it was. So anywhere from 0.13% to 1%. Now, I don't understand. I don't know why people are so offended by math. I do not understand what's so offensive about math. But for some reason, people do not like it. Thank you, Valdez. People don't like it. But how are you going to create measures? How are you going to handle things logically? How are you going to handle a whole country if you don't want to look at math? Okay? People like to get offended, right? I was talking about this on my page the other day where Dr. Oz was like, children have a really low mortality rate, which in fact, as I'm mentioning this, I think it's maybe been 3 children so far that have unfortunately lost their lives to coronavirus. But he said something about the fact that, we should look at reopening the schools eventually because children have such a low rate. And he was like, the trade-off may be like 2% or something, 1 or 2%. Now, we might all argue, it obviously wasn't politically correct, or otherwise people wouldn't have been so mad. And so maybe the way he said it was, harsh, off color, not pleasant. But what are the conversations y'all think these people are having? What do y'all think? Y'all think they talking about unicorns and rainbows when the mics go off, when they step down from the podiums, when the cameras, what do y'all think they're talking about? They're talking about trade-offs based on what? Supposed to be math. Not based on your feelings. So yes, they are talking about trade-offs, about sending people back to work. What if we keep the social distancing measures in place for this long? How will vaccinations affect people? What percentage of people may die from vaccinations? What percentage of people may die if we send people back to work? What percentage of people may die if we don't send people back to work? Math is very important here. And why some people are just so bothered by that, I just don't understand. Maybe at this point, maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little desensitized because a lot of times I feel like these people just lie and they try to sugarcoat everything. So once they finally tell the truth, or maybe their mask slips, I'm way more just open to hearing it, as opposed to them acting shifty or not. It's just too much. I don't need all that. Get to the truth of the matter. And some people just can't handle that. They just cannot handle the truth. But yes, I hate to tell y'all, yes, when the cameras go off, they are talking about trade-offs. There's no way at this point, none, zero, to approach this situation any further and people not die, because unfortunately people die. So yeah, these are things that are being talked about, which reminds me, all right, let's check out this little clip where some people in the White House were setting up, and they got a little caught up on the hot mic. Let's take a look at it.
All right, man. What do you got, baby? You can take out the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate's like 0.1 to 0.3. Is it really? That's reassuring. USC. Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway. USC and LA County Public Health came out with a study. They found that there's 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there are anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people. Really? Yeah. So that makes it 0.1 to 0.3. Is a study to give out right there? Yeah, just give it to that. So it suggests the case fatality rate.
So, y'all heard that. So, excuse me. This is a New York Times photographer and Fox News correspondent, right? So they're just casually talking. And, with this particular video, I mean, we can only go by what they're, what we see here. Now, granted, they just talked about a lot of the math that I just talked about. This is probably a 0.1 to 0.3 we're not even talking about 1% anymore. Okay, it's looking really, really even lower than that. And this is probably like one of the first guys that I've even seen like walking around with a mask. And I think it's super funny that now some newscasters are finally putting on masks in like the umpteenth hour and things like this. But anyway, so he goes on to say, oh, well, it's a hoax. And the guy says, no, I don't think it's a hoax. But I'm just basically saying the fatality rate is a lot lower than we originally expected. They make this joke, which we don't really know. Do we know if it's a joke or not, about people in the White House being vaccinated? But these are the conversations that are being had when they think nobody's looking. Now, some people were saying that, oh, this was a stage. Why were the hot mics just happening to be on and things like this? I don't know if y'all ever watch, because a lot of people watch the news. They watch the news people retelling the stories instead of actually watching the news briefings. But oftentimes, if you go to these different news pages, they set the cameras and mics up, I mean, minutes to sometimes even hours before the president and the staff comes out to speak. And people are literally just in the chat rooms waiting, right, for people to enter the room. So it's not like this far-fetched idea that they will be setting up and this could be caught on camera. This literally happens every single time they're getting ready to do some type of press conference. But yeah. So have people, I mean, even look at, I took the video off, but if you can even look at how close the seats were, right? As they were setting up, it's like, can we get a consistent theory that makes sense? I don't like a leadership that doesn't practice what they preach. To me, that looks like tyranny, right? You telling me to wear a mask, but you don't wear a mask, looks like tyranny. Looks like something's not right. You wanted to have a freaking security detail. You wanted to own guns, but not wanting me to own one seems like tyranny. Something's not right. So I just can't vibe with it. Do as I say, exactly, Lavon. Do as I say, not as I do. I don't rock with it. These people are hired by us, I want to say, sometimes, unfortunately. But they're not better than us. They're supposed to work on our behalf. And I just, these days, I'm talking about sometimes you just don't even know. But it's a definitely do as I say, not as I do. So this video was floating a little bit. I think it's funny that none of the mainstream media kind of even mess with it, even if it was a joke and being, said in jest. It seems like a very interesting moment considering everything that's going on right now. But they're definitely hypocritical, Edward, that's for sure. And so, of course, the media not talking about that. Not super surprising because it tells y'all about the numbers, because then, right, you might pique people's interest and they're like, is it a hoax? Is it a 0.1300% fatality rate. Let me go do a little research. They don't want that. Because they want to be the authoritative figure. They want to raise the numbers up. There was something the other day that came out and said local news is struggling because they're running out of funds, even though everybody is watching the news because everybody's super scared or not scared or mad or want everything closed or want everything open or whatever. The viewership is up, but ad revenue is going down, particularly for local news stations who depend on usually what? Private and local businesses, right? So just as a joke, I was like, well, I mean, maybe we should use all the grants and the funds and the donations that's going to all the authoritative mainstream news to put into local news. I don't know about y'all, but most times when I'm watching local news, they get straight to the story. They get straight to the story. I never see as much conjecture and propaganda as I see added on when you watch a CNN or Fox or MSNBC. Okay, when you watch those mainstream media news channels, you're watching for the anchor's personality and you're watching for the theme or the way that they're trying to spin that story and everything that comes with their personality. That's what you're watching. It's literally nightly entertainment. That's what it is. So Lavon said local news is a lot better to me. It gives you information, not opinion or BS. Edward said at least the local news is not biased. Yeah, that's what I've noticed most times. They just kind of get quick to the story. They're like straight to it and they just move on. You don't see all the back and forth and all the other propaganda and stuff like that. But anyway, so you have the CEO of YouTube, and I've already been telling y'all for this about the longest. This has already been happening, right? I told y'all this was a couple of months ago, and they had already said they were going to start moving up authoritative voices, right? And basically blocking out everybody else that doesn't fall in line. YouTube, we might as well call it TheyTube, because that's what it is. It used to be about the little guys. Literally just every regular day people is what made their platform so great. And then just like other things, when people start smelling themselves, like somebody auntie or grandma would say, but when people start feeling themselves, getting a little ahead of themselves, they're seeing the money, they're seeing the avenue. Then you have people, these CEOs sitting down with politicians and they're in their pockets and having dinners and all this stuff with them. And they have invested interests and stuff. This is when we start to see them doing all the other BS. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this. This is a CEO. This is a CEO of YouTube talking about how they're tackling misinformation during the pandemic.
These days, it's anything but business as usual. That's why working together is
they throw the little ad on me.
AT&T is committed to keeping you connected so you can keep your patients cared for, your customers served, your students inspired, and your employees closer than ever. Our network is resilient. Our people are strong. Our job is to keep your business connected. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do.
All right, anyway.
Millions of impressions across our network that come from all the different public health organizations and made sure that people understand what are the resources. I never thought we'd have so many videos of hand washing, for example, but that's just one example, but we've served so many different areas to make sure that users are getting the right information. We've actually seen a 75% increase in the news coming from authoritative sources since the beginning of 2020. So we've seen a lot of demand there. But then we also—
What does that mean? That means that
75% increase. Do y'all know how traumatic that can be to other people just even trying to grow their platforms? And you're thinking, oh, people just love CNN, people just love Fox News, people just love MSNBC. No, literally, if you type in anything, particularly dealing with coronavirus, all of the mainstream media people are going to move to the top, and it takes you pages and pages and pages of scrolling just to find a normal person even talking about these things, if you even are able to find anybody without directly already knowing somebody, following somebody, and them showing up on your timeline, or you having to type their name in.
increase in video views for those?
Yeah, and so we talk about that as raising authoritative information. But then we also talk about removing information that is problematic. Of course, anything that is medically unsubstantiated, so people saying like, take vitamin C, take turmeric, like those all will cure you. Those are the examples of things that would be a violation of our policy. Anything that would go against World Health Organization recommendations would be a violation of our policy. And so remove is another really important part of our policy.
So you're not just putting the truth next to the lie, you're taking the lie down. That's a pretty aggressive approach.
Well, we do remove, across YouTube in non-pandemic times, information that is a violation of our policy. And we've had community guidelines since the very beginning of YouTube, and we've always, anything that is a violation of our policy, we do remove it. And what was really unique about this was just how fast-moving the COVID-19 crisis was. And so we've had to make numerous policy changes all within a really short period of time to be able to make sure that we stayed abreast of the changes. So, for example, just recently there was a theory that 5G was causing coronavirus symptoms.
Okay. So y'all kind of get what's going on. Green Tea said, what's the harm in taking vitamin C though? See, this is the thing. Okay. This, because they upsetting me in my homegirls. And if you can't go to YouTube, where can you go? Some people gonna get their reference, some people not. But anyway, so y'all, they have been doing this for the longest. And the sad part about this, y'all, is we are watching digital book burning in real time. This is what this is. YouTube is supposed to be about you, your experiences, your thoughts. YouTube is never supposed to be about authoritative sources, right? And so what's really upsetting to me is instead of trying to figure out why people are being pulled away from authoritative sources in the very first place, instead of trying to diagnose the situation and say, there's a disconnect happening here, and maybe it's something that we need to do to inspire and motivate people to identify with our news, with our ideas, our numbers, what we're talking about, and stop pushing them away. Instead of treating us like customers, right? They freaking double down. So if you have a store or a product and it's not moving well, you're going to figure out why not. You might try to poll some of your customers and say, hey, what can we do better? You might email out a survey and say, hey, what can we do to please you more? What can we do to make you shop with us again? Does the news do that? No. They double down, right? They probably have some type of vested interest. I don't know. YouTube itself is probably getting a lot of ad revenue and things like that from these larger sources, and they're like, cool, we'll bump y'all up. Just make sure we keep getting the money coming in. So Carr said this is about control speech as a psyop, shaping your perception with their truth. And I'm so glad you said that, because I want to make this point that I forgot to make earlier. The news is able, okay, I'm going to say it like this. Originally, when I was talking about the coronavirus, I had a couple of people asking me, Rhonda, why do you care about the numbers? What do you care about the numbers so much for? Does it matter? Does it matter if people are dying and if people are going to the hospital and this and that? Yes, numbers matter. Why do numbers matter? Because numbers don't lie. Numbers are the truth, okay? There's no, when you look at the entire context of the information, and numbers help you do that, you get a better picture of what's going on. However, when you don't look at numbers, you go strictly off propaganda, you go strictly off fear mongering, you go strictly off the news, which is their only. I want people to understand the news, mainstream news is a product. They are selling you something every time, okay? They're selling you an idea. They want you to click. They either want you to be very mad, usually mad. That's been the wave that we've been on for years now. Sometimes maybe a little happy. You may get a couple of feel-good stories every now and again. But every time we are up, and I've shown y'all the numbers, I've shown y'all the data where they've tested this. They know that we are moved to click on things, all right, that we are oftentimes bothered by, upset by, scared of. That every time you click, every time you watch, that adds revenue. It adds ad revenue, okay? So when you don't look at numbers, when you refuse to look at numbers and you only are going off emotions, you have a media that can give you 10 back-to-back stories of all the bad things happening. They can bombard you with these stories and never give you the numbers, never give you the facts, never put it into context, tell you about all the people recovering, tell you about how the virus was possibly already here, tell you about the hundreds of thousands of people recovering, the people living, the people that have not been affected, and all these other things. You're only seeing one thing, and it's not good. Now you're in an echo chamber. And it's the same thing over and over again. And now you cannot form a logical, consistent, nuanced opinion of the information because you're in an echo chamber. So it's that simple, Helena J. If they keep people angry and scared, they control you. Oh, government, oh my God, please come save us. Don't let the virus get us. All right. That's exactly what it is. So, I mean, mainstream media capitalizes on fear and anger from us. If I could get just a few people to understand that mainstream media news is a product. It is not meant to be informational. It is not meant to be non-biased. I literally would have feel like I've fulfilled my gift. You know what I mean? Like I would just feel blessed knowing that I did a good deed on this earth. Seriously. If I could get people to understand that mainstream media news is very akin to reality TV, and they want you to watch for the entertainment value, I would be very pleased. Hey Southeast. Lavon said mainstream media is a business to see who can exaggerate the story as to act as scare people. It's like the church. So whoever can exaggerate the story the best, and then even in the last few years, right, we've seen so many instances of news just running with stories without having the whole facts, or just doing very, very questionable things, right? The first thing, just unethical things. Some of the things that just come to the top of my head, right? Reporting freaking Kobe Bryant's death without even like leaking the information to freaking TMZ before his wife even knows. I think his family had to find out like on social media or TV. The whole Jeffrey Epstein story, when homegirl on, I think that was on MSNBC or maybe ABC, wanted to break the story like 2 years prior, but decided not to do it because you can freaking lose your job. And I'm sure there's tons of other stories that y'all can think of where they just do very unethical, sketchy BS. So I'm telling you, they're like Mona Scott. They pimping the heck out of these stories like she be pimping them girls on those on those whatever those hip hop love and basketball shows. Zowie said Google did a study that shows when people are in a fearful state of mind, they end up shopping more. That's interesting. I'm gonna really have to look into that. I have noticed that. I don't know if it's just me, y'all, but have y'all like ads on like social media just been really ramped up lately, like on Instagram and stuff? I've never had as many ads as I've seen since during this quarantine. I'm being hit with everything, and it's really like I'm really having I catch myself for a minute like, I might want to get this. This might be nice. And it's just something, it's like, you don't need that. But everywhere I turn, they're just bumped up. All right, y'all. So let's talk about this last thing I want to talk about. So, Trump came out and basically it was like, oh, we're going to suspend immigration for a little while. Till we get some things going on straight. We're going to stop people from coming in the border, this and the other. So, of course, you already had people who couldn't wait to say, oh, that's racist. So this is according to the Washington Post. Trump to suspend immigration to U.S. for 60 days, citing coronavirus crisis and job shortage, but will allow some workers. President Trump said Tuesday he will halt immigration to the United States for 60 days, a freeze that will block green card recipients from moving to the country, but will continue to allow temporary workers on non-immigrant visas to enter. The president provided a rationale for the unprecedented decision that was primarily economic, arguing that he wants Americans to have access to work as millions of people have lost their jobs amid the coronavirus crisis. I will be issuing a temporary suspension of immigration into the United States, Trump said during a White House briefing Tuesday. By pausing, we'll help put unemployed Americans first in line for jobs. It will be wrong to be replacing them with new immigrant labor flown in from abroad. Senior White House officials and lawyers met Tuesday to sort out the logistics and legal implications of President Trump's late-night Twitter proclamation that he would stop immigration to the United States. It is being written now. Trump said, noting that lawyers were still working through the final details, will most likely sign it tomorrow. After 60 days, the need for modification will be evaluated based on economic conditions in the country. Trump said, we want to protect workers. So this goes on to say the president also said that seasonal farm laborers would not be affected by the measures and that the suspension would help conserve vital medical resources. He said that he wants to protect the country from the threat of foreigners bringing the virus into the country and to stem the economic damage the pandemic has triggered. This also says something about the president has broad authority to restrict entry into the United States, appoint the Supreme Court affirming upholding his controversial entry ban in 2018, and that power is perhaps no greater than during a public health epidemic. Immigrants' visas are issued for those who have approved to move permanently to the United States. The majority of family members of U.S. Okay, this is the part. Some immigrant visas are granted to those who have jobs waiting for them, including nurses planning to work at hospitals. A small number of special immigrant visas are granted for a variety of foreigners, including religious members and Iraqis and Afghans who work for the U.S. government. So I think this is actually funny. I don't know if it's funny. Maybe I understand in hindsight. It's a little funny, right? But Trump already took that whole, who's gonna pick our fruit? How are we gonna eat? The immigrants pick the strawberries you don't want to pick. It's so funny, right? That this is going to be done in a way that literally takes that talking point away from people. Not to even mention, it was a very dumb, short-sighted talking point in the very beginning. Okay. People try to say that to show how much we care about the immigrant population, and you're basically saying how are you going to take away our slave labor? They feed us and freaking clean our floors. I don't know. That's just what I hear when people say things like that, not even realizing it's such a horrible, just ugly stereotype in the first place. Okay, I've done several stories, y'all have known this. Many people that come over here and get visas, green cards, whatever, come here, work for tech companies. Okay, this was maybe a year or so ago. I don't even remember, but I remember doing a story where it was like some large tech company in freaking Silicon Valley had a raid. And it was like hundreds of illegal immigrants working there. Y'all help me remember what business it was, if you remember that story. But this false idea, it's a reason. Here we go with numbers again, right? This is why numbers are important, because if the media never tells you the numbers of all the immigrants coming over here, working in tech positions, being found in things, even like freaking construction, blue collar jobs, some of those jobs really help people move up. I don't know how people see construction, but a lot of construction workers get paid really well. And I'm sure it's plenty of other jobs that I'm not thinking about that are good jobs for people looking for jobs. And the media is not going to talk about that. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that there was a freaking tech raid in the middle of Silicon Valley where illegal immigrants were moved out for Americans to have those jobs. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know the numbers. They don't want you to know the hundreds of thousands of people coming over here doing those jobs. First of all, I saw a couple of people on social media. Oh my God, this is so racist. He just couldn't wait to be racist, blah, blah, blah. First of all, this idea that you would even want people moving across the border while Americans are just sitting at home makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense. If we need to be locked in place, everybody needs to be locked in place. That is what I mean when I say things are not consistent and not making sense. Like, pick a side. Pick a position. Either you want people locked in place or you don't. Whichever position, that's you. That's your opinion, but be consistent, right? You can't say, oh my God, I'm reporting my neighbor because they're moving. They're walking around. They're walking their freaking dog. They're out fishing, enjoying life, soaking up the sun. And yet simultaneously, yes, I want immigrants crossing the border at the same time. That doesn't make sense. Number two, okay, a lot of people that get green cards are working in medical positions. Another thing that a lot of these media outlets are not telling y'all right now, research it. Ask your friends in the medical field. A lot of people, a lot of these hospitals, the census is low. These hospitals are not as packed out as y'all think they are. Maybe in the epicenter, maybe in New York, but a lot of the census, even in ERs, are low. Okay. My best friend works in the ER. She's a registered nurse. They tried to send her home twice last week. Twice. Never happened. Freaking ER. So that's something they're not going to tell you. So do we want to be in a position where millions of people are on unemployment and we literally have people coming here? These are hundreds of thousands of visas, by the way. And do we want people, while these census are low, while millions of people can't find jobs? It just doesn't make sense. It's the most logical thing to do. You work on behalf of your citizens first. I don't even begin to see how people could find that problematic. And people are so shifty in their views. It's so odd to me, right? Because initially, very early on, I think this was maybe January, when people were saying, oh, don't close the border. Let's all go hug and hold hands in Chinatown. Closing the border is racist, and this and that and the other. These same people weeks later saying, well, why didn't you do anything? Now, months later, it's don't close the borders. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. So yes, going forward, we absolutely want to put people in position, particularly the people that have jobs, to when these states start back opening up, to move people in these jobs quickly as possibly and swiftly. And people shouldn't have to be competing with people that are not citizens here. That does not make sense, particularly based on the numbers. So let's dispel this myth that immigrants, legal or illegal, either one. Let's dispel this myth that they only pick strawberries, okay? It's a lie. It's not true. I've done several videos to show y'all this. The mainstream media is not going to show you this because why? They have other agendas, why they're getting you to believe these sob stories, and they don't give you the numbers or the full context or the bigger picture of these things. And but yeah, I'm just ready. I'm ready to get back because right now I don't know how much longer I can take this. But we gonna see. Let me thank my patrons, thank y'all so much. To my VIP patrons, Michael, Ray, and Valdis, thank y'all so much for supporting me. Y'all, okay, another thing. Is it just me, or does the weather feel particularly more cold than it does around this time of year? Have y'all been experiencing that? And I'm like, out of all the years where we could use the heat the most, because hopefully, I don't think we actually know for sure now, but I think we're still in hopes that it'll maybe slow down the rate of the virus even further, the transmission of it. But so Tony said not in Florida. So y'all, I'm in Mississippi. We literally be having on like shorts on Thanksgiving. We're, as soon as that like second week hits in March, but some of the days I've been noticing lately, it's just been colder than normal. It's like weird. Tony, would it usually be 90 around this time of year, or would it be even higher? We've been warm, but I don't know. It's just been seeming really colder than lately, but we'll see. But Southeast said, whatever happened to global warming? You know they can only focus on one hot button issue at a time. You know that. That is so funny. I saw this article the other day that was like, men are more susceptible to coronavirus, and I think it said something due to like testicles or something like this. And I was like, it's so funny, right? There's no outrage. Nobody is asking for like, the queer and all that other stuff numbers. People don't feel left out all of a sudden. You know what I mean? I said it's so interesting, some of the things that people just aren't looking at during this time, because it brings you back to a certain level of truth. If we're going to look at numbers, we want to know what type of anatomy, what type of whatever makes you more susceptible to this. We have to look at the truth of it, not what, not what's not connecting here. Tony said, how dare you? How dare you? But all right, y'all. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for joining me every Tuesday, rocking with me every Tuesday. Hopefully y'all have a good week. Try to get out, get some sun. Don't get too lost in yourself. Call your people, FaceTime them. Be active, be social. We are meant to be social, y'all. So, whatever you got to do, get outside, maybe go for a jog, sit in as much sun as you can, whatever. But all right, y'all, have a good night. Bye.